Welcome to episode number 57 of the Fare Compare video podcast. My name is Ann McDermott, and I am the editor and color commentator for the podcast. I have to warn you that Rick Cini is not here today. He is off traveling and talking about traveling, so that's all good. But we have a very, very good substitute today.
Hey, I'm Billy Sanis with FareCompare.com. Today we're going to talk about the cheapest and most effective day to fly around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Also some other fun things like airfare hikes. Well, I don't know if that's a fun thing. I think they're fun when they don't stick. And maybe a few other travel stuff.
Yeah, we're also going to take a question from a customer, and that's always fun because these guys have the best questions. And we're also going to learn about our latest Eventurist event of the week, which happens to be in Hong Kong, and it sounds like a really good one. So let's jump in. Let's talk about Thanksgiving first.
Well, it is probably my favorite time of the year because I get to eat a lot and take a few days off. It's been a bit since I've traveled, probably about 2 years since I went to Seattle to go see my cousin Maria. But actually, we spend a lot of time at the airport every year just to hang out with flyers and customers, and we analyze a lot of the data. So, if you're going to fly this year, it's actually kind of expensive. It's $662 that you're going to pay on average if you're flying from that Wednesday before Thanksgiving to the Sunday, which is the most popular itinerary. And that's about the same as it was last year, just depending on the city that you are, maybe down about 2-3% points as it is in Atlanta. But if you're flying out of Philly, it's up over 11%, which is pretty high.
Wow. But as you noted, Wednesday to Sunday, if you've got a kid in college who's away at college, you know that those are the days you almost always fly. And boy, you will always pay. 1 year with my daughter, I waited too long, and I paid I think it was just over $900 round trip, and it wasn't even cross country.
It's a lot of money, and the airlines can get away with it that time because we all want to fly. Yep. We all want to get there. We're going to go eat Aunt Margaret's apple pie and Maria's stuffed chicken. So that's what I want to do. So we looked at all the alternatives, how can you save money? And, this happens a lot. I know Rick talks about this all the time, but it's just extremely evident this year. If you want to save about 65%, you have to do two things. First of all, fly on Thanksgiving. So fly on a Thursday and come back on a Tuesday. So if you're working, maybe what you can do is work that Wednesday that everybody wants to take off, be the hero in the office or at work.
It's a good idea.
And stay, and then take a couple of days off, right? That you don't want to lose them because sometimes you just keep those days over the year and you just don't use them. Just go ahead and take that Monday and Tuesday off, and you'll save about 65%. And looking at the data here, it's around $349 that you're going to be paying. So it's a lot less, so that's something that suggests. So Thursday to Friday, so we're looking at here the data. So November 24th through the 25th, if you fly just those 2 days, just almost
it's an overnight. Yeah.
That's $365. Thursday through Tuesday, that's November 24th through 29th, that's $395. So that's a significant savings, right? So
yeah, and you can see all these figures we're talking about, all these ticket prices. These are averages. You can see them all on our post about this, which is in the advice section of FareCompare.com.
Yeah. So we had the team look at all this. We did. I mean, it's sometimes it's just fascinating the amount of data that we go through.
Oh, yeah.
Like 1.8 million itineraries that we went through just to look at all this stuff. I know that Jeb and Rick and Graham and I know Joel was working on this data too. It's just amazing the amount of data that we do, and that's from the 24 billion itineraries that we look at every day anyway. So it's usually the numbers actually come up pretty accurate, especially if you're looking at U.S. domestic travel. So Think about it, especially traveling that Thursday of Thanksgiving. One thing I'll tell you, of having had work in a previous life, literally at the airport during Thanksgiving, the morning of Thanksgiving, it is the quietest time at the airport. The lines are short. Flights are, there's still a little bit of space on some of the flights. So that's what I would suggest. And get to the airport early if you're flying on that Wednesday.
And I was going to say, people think, oh, I'm not going to fly on Thanksgiving. But as you point out, you get a great advantage of a very quiet and easy to navigate airport. Plus, if you fly in the morning, you're not going to miss dinner or any of the festivities. And in fact, what you will miss is doing the prep, like chopping celery and onions and, baking pies. You won't have to do that.
That's right. That's right. And, like for me that I live in Dallas, and, the only place that, we will travel for Thanksgiving to see family is Seattle. All of my wife's family is here in Dallas too. You don't do it often, but when you're able to do it, you can actually maybe spend some time with your family in the morning or that Wednesday and have, pre-Thanksgiving turkey with the local folks. And then when you travel out, you can be with the family too. And you save all that prepping, like Ann was saying. And I mean, the longest flight you're going to have is 3.5 hours, maybe 4. So if you leave 9 in the morning, you'll be there by lunch, right? Have early dinner.
Yeah. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving ahead of time to everybody. And if you haven't bought your tickets yet, oh my, get going.
Buy them soon.
Let's talk about airfare hikes now. This really hasn't been a terrible year. I mean, there were some years where airlines would attempt to hike fares like 15 times throughout the course of a year, something like that. So far, it's been fairly quiet and with mixed results. So what is that telling us?
Well, I think the airlines are trying to test how much we will pay for things, right? So they're still making a profit. There's still flights are, pretty full, but the airlines are trying to push the limit on everything. So in the past probably 12 to 18 months, they've grew capacity, which means they've literally put more flights or on the system, either another plane that does more, or they've optimized their schedule so they can have an additional frequency between cities. So that creates capacity growth as an industry term. And analysts, the folks who sort of judge the value of the airlines, usually see that as an issue if it's not full. So if you grow and you're not putting literally people on those planes, those analysts start to complain, to be honest. And what happens is sort of a trickle down issue is either the airlines reduce capacity, which means they take that flight or that frequency out, or they try to raise prices across the board on all of the other seats, right? Just to say, okay, my average revenue per passenger is a little bit higher because I have more people, or it stays the same as it was before. So it ends up saying that the value of the company is just as good as it used to be before. So long story short on that is they're trying to raise prices because either pressure from analysts or because they can or they try to, right? How far we will pay for things. So far it's been like, if we look at it for the whole year, it's been kind of busy, not as busy as years before where, by this time we would have seen, like Ann was saying, 15 or 25 attempts. So far it's, there's been a series of 14, but some of them have been very moderate. But only a few have stuck, which is really good. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3 that have fully stuck. One that was done in February by Southwest, and usually if Southwest has a fare increase, everybody follows. And then in May, JetBlue did one that was a success too. And in July, United Airlines also started one. There was one that happened earlier in September, and it didn't stick. And there was one that happened, what was it, 3-4 days ago now, Ann?
Like last week.
Yeah, last week. And it did not stick either. Delta started that one, and they did 1.6 million airfares, and then they raised another million airfares, and it was between $2 and $5. And when the other airlines don't match, they usually just pull back, right? Just to see. But it's usually, and the reason why they pull back is because we won't pay for it, right? There is no change. Maybe people are shying away from paying those extra $5 to $10 per segment, right?
Well, let me ask you, do you think we're going to have, will they try again this year?
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, if you look at some of the financial indications or the signals that they give in their financial reports, the airlines are still saying that they have additional capacity compared to last year, more seats than they had last year. So they want to fill those. So either they'll do sales, like you'll see Southwest now, continuing to do sales, other airlines matching it, or they will try to raise prices before the end of the year. I actually think of maybe one more before the end of the year. That's kind of my crystal ball telling me things.
Let's go to a question from a customer now. We have one from Bob from Chicago, and he says he's looking to buy tickets for himself and his wife to go to Boston, Chicago to Boston, and in the first week of April. When should we be buying, and how much should we pay?
Well, especially on domestic airfares, Chicago to Boston is it's both a leisure and a big business route.
Yeah.
So prices for business routes usually go up in about 21 days before, 21 to 14 days. But lately, we've been seeing that some of these business routes are extremely competitive. If he buys it right away, closer to 21 days, he will probably pay around $400, right? If you do it that last week. If you do it 21 days in advance purchase, it's anywhere between $187 and $212, and that's for a nonstop. American has several frequencies per day. There's the other options that Bob will have is JetBlue and United. So you have, to be honest, 3 large airlines that could compete for that. So that's why the price will probably stay at around $200. If you're paying $250 to $400, that is way too much. So think of alternative dates.
Okay, cool. I hope that helps you, Bob from Chicago. And if anybody else has a question, please send it to customer.service@faircompare.com. I know that Rick really loves your questions. We all do, but please send it along and we'll get to them if at all possible. So what's up with Eventurous? We got something there. Something good.
Yeah, so the featured event of the week is the Hong Kong Great November Feast or Fest, or just a lot of good food. It's actually an amazing opportunity to go to Hong Kong, or just another reason. I mean, it's an amazing city. But if you put food in there and wine, I think I'm seriously thinking about spending my birthday up there, because it's from November 1st through the 30th, so it's all month long. There's a bunch of events, anything from pre-dinner sunset cruises. There's the Hong Kong International Wine and Spirits Fair. There's home brewery workshops. I think it's calling my name.
Well, and the fact that it lasts a month, I find very intriguing. I mean, how cool is that? And I'm not, I'm not very well versed in a lot of Asian food, but I would like to be. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well, you can try this one. It's obviously you're going to have local cuisine and local great chefs, but I think it's you're going to get a taste from all over the world. So it's almost a great excuse to take that trip if you want to go to Hong Kong. I know Rita from our Adventurous team wrote about it. And she was saying that anything you got from, like I said, from the brewing workshop, so you can learn how to do make beer. to cooking classes, to the sunset cruise, to all of the, the tastes of the different chefs, local chefs. I think it'd be a great opportunity. Plus, I don't know. I mean, Hong Kong is a place that, at least for me, it's been a while since I've been there, probably since in 2005. So about 10 years now, 11 years now. But just
back.
Yeah, it's time to go back. But just great shopping, lots of cool things, and obviously a different culture that we're used to here in the United States, but also sort of that familiarity, right, of a large metropolitan city with a lot of Western, culture already blended into to a really nice local flavor.
I just want to also add that if you liked hearing about this, our Eventurous app has tons of events. In fact, it was featured in a recent post by Johnny Jett, who is a very nice man and a very good writer. And he talked about how, what it is you can build a trip around a great event. And we've got tons of events in the US and all over the world. So you might want to definitely check that out. And if you need more information on any of these topics that we covered today, please go to farecompare.com. And in fact, go there to buy your airfare tickets, because it's a great comparison site. And I'm not saying that just because I work there. It really, really is. And if you'd like to hear more from Rick and me and Billy, please go to various platforms, including iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and more. I never can get those right. Anyway.
SoundCloud, that's my favorite one. That's where I get most of my podcasts.
Take care, everybody.
All right.